Guys, truly one of the most groundbreaking videos, interviews that we're about to do right now is with Jason. You can find him on Instagram at the Real Alaskan Avenger. This guy's story is heartbreaking. It's harrowing. It's full of heroism. The guy is a living legend, truly an individual who has survived insurmountable odds, physical abuse, sexual abuse, childhood abuse, and has taken that mantle upon himself to go out and right the wrongs of the world. He's been incarcerated for years and years and years, literally serving 3 times as long as the individuals who were child molesters that he harmed. The story is riveting, to say the least. I hope you'll stay tuned. I hope your life will be changed. I hope that this story can permeate this culture and make some changes that are so desperately needed.
There he is.
My man,
What's going down, brother? How you doing?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
You know what? I'll tell you what. I am not behind those bars that are right behind you. So trust and believe I'm good.
I'll tell you what, I just sent this text the other day to one of my guys who got out not too long ago. Our worst day here is better than our best day behind bars, right?
Absolutely, no question. Matter of fact, oh shit, where are you? Where are
Right
you?
now I'm in Hawaii.
There we go. Okay, no, so you just disappeared off my screen.
Oh, we're back.
Yeah, but I was gonna say I was just telling my girl here that I pushed 8,000 pounds of plywood up into the rafters today, and you know what? I'm hella happy to do it because it's better than being in there for sure, for sure.
Bro, it's so interesting that you say that because and let's just dive into that real quick. That gratitude, I just talked to Chris Curtis. Interesting story down in Orange County. They gave him 28 to life. And he did 26 of the 28, and
Yeah,
the laws changed because of, juvenile nonsense, and he got out. And his
yeah,
comment to me was exactly what you said. He said, I'm working 7 days a week, and I've never been so happy.
yep. It's humility and gratitude every single day. And the thing is, I will tell you, the interesting dynamic in my world is that honestly, bro, there is nothing any DOC despises more than an inmate that is special. They don't like it, bro. And so they throw stuff at you hand over fist. And that's not a complaint. Even overcoming all of the hurdles and the things that I've had to do with being that guy, um, I'm still grateful every single day. I promise you, man. I hustle my ass out of this place every single day. I don't think I've ever been late to work, nor will I be, just
It's
because
the
I'm
truth.
grateful. I'm grateful. So,
No, it's so true, brother. The amount of gratitude. I have people ask me all the time, like, are you naturally a morning person? Do you drink a lot of coffee? And I'm like, bro, you don't understand. Like, without the jangling keys, without the smell, like I
yeah,
can't tell you. I wake up every day like, yep, we got another one, boys.
yep, that's exactly right. And the thing is, what's crazy is I've had so much kindness and support from the outside world. And I'll tell you this, I encountered every type of badass you can imagine while I was in the penitentiary, right? But there's not a single thing along the way that has kicked my ass more than genuine human kindness and love being shown to me, bro. And I'm talking about from the car I drive to the apartment I'm sitting in. These were all, now granted, I'm paying for everything, but
Yeah.
they were given to me through acts of kindness, no deposit, no down payment, et cetera, et cetera. And and that's just the beginning, bro. From people setting me up on this business to everything else, getting the job that I got, bro. The interview was like, hey, bro, you're hired. You know what I mean? So
You
it's
know
been
what?
overwhelming.
Talk about that real quick. And I didn't expect to do this, but one of the biggest questions that I get when I go behind bars or when these people will see this on the tablets is this. They're going to say to you, and I'll say it to you, Jason, I can't tell my employer the truth about my story, about
Right,
my crime.
right. So 100% opposite of that. And this is my recommendation from personal experience. Own your past, own where you came from, walk into the interview room and tell them, absolutely, I have been an outlaw convict for most of my life. If that's the case, I made a ton of mistakes. I learned from each one. I just did a whole bunch of time in the penitentiary. And I am grateful for the opportunity to come work for you and show you what I can do. Tell them straight up. And that's the way that
Yeah.
I am. I tell them straight up, check it out. I used to be a thief and a liar. I ran credit card fraud for years. I did a ton of jail time for petty stuff. And then eventually I beat up some pedophiles and I went and got a big long prison sentence. Like, hooray for that. But the thing is, I was a criminal and made shitty choices and I was a drug
Yeah.
addict and everything else the whole way. And I'm telling you right now, full disclosure is 100% the way to go. And the thing is, if you can get yourself in the interview room, believe me, you're going to get hired. That's the bottom line.
Yes. Yes. Have you seen this? And for those of you who may literally be behind bars watching this for a very long time. So you're in Alaska,
Yeah.
for those who don't know and don't have access to social at the moment. Um, have you seen the lack of work ethic as much as I have out here in, like, the major cities?
Yep, for sure. And I'll tell you this, it's also generational. So the next two
Mm.
generations of youngsters that I was schooling up while I was in prison, bro, they are lacking in work ethic, for sure, 100%. And they're lacking in the understanding that pain is what teaches you. So
Mm.
society nowadays is you shouldn't have to feel any pain, bro. Here, and that's some of how fentanyl came into play because everybody wants to mask pain. Well, I'm telling you, not in a masochistic sort of way, but in general,
Sure.
pain is the great teacher. She has taught me everything. She has taught me everything. And I learned to embrace her a long time ago. And it taught me everything. Similarly, like I'm schooling up a little 18-year-old kid right now, and I did 7 years.
J Bone?
Yep, J Bone, that's my buddy. But I did 7 years in the max joint with his father,
Yeah.
who's serving a life sentence. And I don't tell this to many people outside of this, closed group, but his father committed a number of really heinous crimes, which I won't describe, but he did it because he was a blackout drunk. And so now
Mm.
Jay Bone, he likes to drink and whatever. And the thing I'm trying to teach him is a work ethic is the secret key that opens all doors. You can look funny, you can sound funny, but if you show up and you have that work ethic, I promise you, just last week they gave me a $3 an hour raise. Why? Not because I'm pretty, but because I have a work ethic. You know what I mean? I've had this face my whole life and it ain't pretty, but I can work. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love it. And I love that they hear it from you, because I continue to tell them, I'm like, guys, if you, like you said, if you just get in the room and you just own your past and then you
Yep.
tell everybody, you're not gonna outwork me.
Yep.
There's no amount of job that you can't have in this life.
That's exactly right. Well, and plus, a lot of us think while we're incarcerated, we're isolated from the outside world, where you forget how many business owners are out there and they learn the same lessons you did the same way you did. There's a lot of
Yeah.
really successful business owners out there looking for employees. And
Mm.
guess what they did when they were young? They did dope, they broke the law, they went to jail, they may or may not have gone to prison, but then they've turned their life around and now they're successful. So I'm telling you now, you'd be really surprised how many of these business owners will extend out a hand and be like, check this out, man. If you want to stand on your own 2 feet and show me something, then come on then. And the other thing too, that guys that are getting ready to get out of prison, just so you guys know, out here in 2025 in this world, there's a whole lot of people caught up with addiction that don't want to work. So you will be very surprised if you have got yours under control and you're ready to be sober. You can step into a workplace and they will give you a chance, no matter what your rap sheet is in general.
You're right about that. You're spot on.
Yep.
Um, talk through your sobriety.
Yeah.
What was that like? I have it, and let me boil it down for you. I have a close friend who's just hit 2 years,
Yeah.
and he's realized in that 2 years that he's found himself, he's found a higher power spiritually, he's found his wife again, he's found his kids again, but he's absolutely lonely because everything
Yeah.
else is. What
Yeah.
is that a relevant topic to you? Is that a relevant topic in the addiction?
100%. Yeah. 100%. I was on drugs my whole life, my entire life. I was born and raised in the Matanuska Valley in Alaska. I smoked weed first time when I was 15. I stayed on the chronic until I started snorting meth. And then I was snorting meth and I was on the job. I was never an opiate or needle guy, but I would definitely snort lines. Not that that makes me better or different than other addicts, but that was my thing. And I will tell you this, that I came from a severe childhood trauma background. And one of the best things to make it all go away, I never thought about it at all, was when I was high. And I stayed high. I was never into alcohol because I was married to a chick who was a hardcore alcoholic for a long time. And it was really terrible to watch that addiction in her, and she's now dead, so rest in peace. But uh, coming out of addiction was difficult, bro, even in the pen, because then I got arrested and went to the pen, and trust and believe in there, we are on game. We're hitting all the time. The sack is moving all the time. Trust and believe. If you're in the pen, you already know you're getting faded. So, what I suggest is number one, moderation. Number two, get yourself a step down plan. If you got a release date coming up or an opportunity, I suggest work yourself off of it, because honestly, it's easier if you're already sober before you step out. Because the other thing that I've had the last 2 years, I'm telling you, bro, probably 60% of the guys that I did time with are now dead because they got out of the pen and they're used to doing this much. And then they get out in the free world and somebody hands them this much. And the first thing they do is overdose and die. So just everybody be aware of that. If you're inside the penitentiary, get ready. That same $100 you're paying for a paper is going to get you this much, and you're going to kill yourself. That's what's going to happen.
Golly, bro. So much to unpack there. So much to unpack. I want to go back to, I had this gentleman just tell me not too long ago, his dad did 23 years. And when he was going through addiction, rehab, therapy, etc., it clicked with him. He said, and it was him and his therapist, they said, perhaps you did the dope to get closer to that man, but in doing the dope, it just masked all of that
Yep.
pain.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly true. And it took me a long time, bro, because from the time I was a young man, I climbed out the window of my bedroom and I never saw my adoptive parents or anybody that I knew again, ever. I started my life at
How
15 on
15.
my own, climbed out the window, goodbye. And I was one of those dudes the whole ride that I'd be like, yeah, we used to get molested and beaten and stuff, but I'm good. I'm good. Never talked about it, no therapy, no nothing, but I stayed high. And it wasn't until honestly about 5 years into my prison bid when I had this ocean of people surround me from the outside world due to the notoriety of my crime. And honestly, up until that point, bro, I was 45 years old. I didn't think I mattered at all. And it took a bunch of people telling me, bro, you matter, bro. You're important, bro. You matter. And suddenly it was a weird thing, man. It sunk into my mind. I was like, holy shit, I matter. I'm important. Well, maybe I better talk about this stuff. Maybe that's all right. And it was really that simple for me. And then the other thing too is if you are a smart man, eventually you will see the scale and you will realize consequence versus value. You're going to have to recognize that at some point, or you're just ignorant. And I'm telling you right now, successful professional people are not also drug addicts unless you happen to be like in some entertainment industry, and you're still going to have an arc and you're going to crash and you're going to
Yeah.
fall. So, I mean, every single successful business owner I know is mostly sober, and keeps a hard grip on their sobriety. And I recommend that for you, and I recommend that for myself. And I also want to say this is really important.
Mm.
I am not perfect. Like 2, 3 months after getting out, bro, I wanted to hella take a hit off of the hash thing. Up here in Alaska, weed is legal. And I
Yeah.
got super baked one time. And I thought to myself, man, I used to weigh 300 pounds because I smoked dope all the time, bro. And it gave me the hella munchies. And then I thought, when I go to the PO's office, if I crack off a faint line, which I did, she took away my driving privileges for 2 weeks and made me jump through a whole bunch of other hurdles. So it's like every single thing has a consequence. And I'm telling you, fortunately, I've put in a bunch of work, because really at that moment, if she wanted to, she could have said, hey, boy, go back to jail. You know what I mean? So if you're a smart man, if you're a wise man, when you get out here, look around you, see who's doing well, see who's doing successful. I guarantee you, they're not getting high all day.
Yeah. Let's go back to what you said. You climbed out of the window at 15. What, I mean, brothers, sisters, set the stage for us. I mean,
Yeah,
that's an age where you're old enough to know that you're leaving your family. You
yeah,
know, it's like you're 8 or 9 and you just kind of wandered off into the woods. Like
yeah,
this is a choice. I mean, and please
yeah,
correct me. This is a
yeah.
choice that you made to leave.
Yeah, I had to save myself. And
Hmm.
again, it was somebody from outside the family. I actually, I was molested and beaten and all that stuff most of my childhood. And I took jobs packing moose and doing all type of stuff to get me away from the home most of the year. And then when I came home, I was in homeschool and I got a job at the grocery store bagging groceries. And this little cute chick came in who didn't know my family, didn't know me. Well, once I started talking to her, I related to her what was happening in my house, and she was like, "Holy shit, we have got to get you out of there. You should not be there." And honestly, I didn't know. I was like, "I shouldn't."
Wow.
And she's like, "No, absolutely not. Are you crazy?" So she came in her little pickup truck, and I climbed out the window, and she roared me out of there, and I never went back. Um, and that is the power of having someone else. Hold on one second. Hey, babe, go up to the door. That is the power of having somebody else tell you that you matter. And that's
Hmm.
something that's lacking in prison when you're isolated from the world, especially in a system that I was just housed in. The state of Alaska system, bro, there's no tablets, there's no video
Yeah.
visits, there's
Nothing.
no, yeah, you got to get three different types of validations and verifications to even get a visit. It's insane. And the thing is, when someone else comes and tells you, hey, guess what? You actually matter, man. Your experience matters. That shit is powerful. It will change you.
On a just putting this thought together here. I'm gonna spitball it with you. How much of your J Bone time and energy, how much of that do you think is you healing the 18-year-old Jason?
100%.
Man.
100%. And I mean, a lot of it too that people don't know
Mm.
is okay, I got a 23-year prison sentence for smashing out child predators. Okay. And there was a lot of hoopla and hooray for that. But what people don't understand is when I went to prison, I had a 13-year-old son, still
Oh,
have, and a 10-year-old daughter. So what
what?
really happened is dad disappeared from his kids' lives for a decade. So what
Man.
it cost me and what it cost my kids could not be replaced. I literally didn't get to raise my own children and they got abandoned by their dad. So when I stepped out of prison and there was all these people saying, "Hooray, you're a hero, bro. You're a hero." Absolutely
Yeah.
not. I felt like shit because I'm a failure as a father. That's what I actually
Oh,
was. And
whoa.
every time I heard that, I would respond to people and I would tell them, "Listen, if you are a good father or mother to your child, you're a hero. You're the one that's going to make a difference." So when it comes to the kid, it's really like my second chance to be a dad to somebody that needs it. And that's exactly what I am. And I'm telling you right now, bottom line, he's got the coolest dad ever. I promise you that. Like, I'm hard on him. I'm a hella hard ass, believe that. But I love him too at the same time. So, and yeah, for sure.
What?
The thing is, I want to help him avoid all of the pitfalls and mistakes that I did. And the thing is, when you're that young, all you see is today. You don't see
Yeah.
tomorrow.
No.
And I tell him that all the time, bro. You got this little girlfriend, you want to build a life and stuff like that. You don't do that waking up face down, ass up, naked in your bathroom after you passed out. That's not how that shit works.
Definitely not. No, it's interesting that you say that. So in this world of keyboard warriors that you and I live in and all the hate that
Yep.
we get online, right?
Yep.
For all the heroism that goes into our stories, there's a boatload of idiots online, right?
For
Behind the
sure.
keyboard. Um, we have 4 little ones, my wife and I, and our oldest, we have one boy, 3 girls. Our oldest is a 13-year-old boy, soon to be 14. And so about 3 years ago, we put him into 5 day a week jujitsu.
Nice. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I wanted him to experience metaphorically and physically that on a day to day, as a man, it is how do I get through with just this amount of air?
Yep. Yep. It's so important. And I'm telling you right now, I one of the catchphrases that I always tell people is simple is genius. Simple is genius. teaching a child to defend themselves, whether it's a martial art or whether it's with signs and just home training or whatever, is one of the simple things you can do for your kids, and giving them that platform. And you can't imagine how powerful being able to defend yourself is once you have it as a skill. And
Yeah.
for me, think about this. When I was a little kid, I never won. Not a single time did I win. Every
Mm.
time that piece of shit came in the room, I lost every single time. And it wasn't until I was an adult and I was in my 40s. And I'm telling you right now, every single time I walked in the door to one of these child predators, trust and believe, I won. And in a way, that was healing my child self, because
Yeah.
every single time I came in the door, bro, I went in face up, no mask, no gun. We were going to put hands up. That's how we do it. And I was not going to lose this time, and I didn't. So, and I'm not saying that like I recommend that for anyone else, but I'm saying for myself, when it comes to the
Yeah,
youngsters,
that was your cathartic, that was your therapy, that was
for
your
sure.
outlet. Yeah.
For sure. And a lot of people have a hard time understanding that. And I really don't say this on platforms that reach the outside world too much. Um, just because I don't want to encourage other people who have been in captivity emotionally or spiritually. Then they end up in captivity for real later on in life because they're doing some stuff. Hold on one second. Hey, babe, the next one's up there. My bad. But
You're good.
yeah, I don't want people. It's a sad thing. That's what happened to me. Basically, emotionally and spiritually, I was captive my whole
Yeah.
childhood. And then I grew up in the process of healing myself. Then I got to go live in a concrete shoebox for a decade. You know what I
Man,
mean? And I don't want that for anybody else.
it's so interesting. To your point about not saying this very much on the outside world, I've only heard things about Alaska. I haven't visited or spoken behind those walls, but I can tell you that most of the yards that you and I would end up on because of our race and crime, et cetera, um, when I explain to people who have never been that when somebody walks on that yard and they're not given a bedroll, it's for a reason. It's a sign. It's a green arrow that this
Yep.
individual has something wrong with their paperwork. And guys who look like you and I, we typically don't put up with that type of paperwork. And so that person
Yep.
is not going to spend the night there.
Yep. Yep. State of Alaska, I'm going to tell you this. The state of Alaska is a system unto itself. So, what was
Yeah.
really interesting about my sentence and time is, I was medium custody the whole time. So
Okay.
when I got sentenced, I was a medium custody inmate. However, they designated me for the maximum security joint immediately and shot me to that yard. Reason why
Really?
is because the medium custody yard was saturated with pedophiles.
Pedophiles. Yep.
So they shot me to the max yard because there, trust and believe, we button them all up as soon as they touch down. So
Yeah.
it was a real interesting process for me because guess what happened? I did 7 years at the max joint, and there, respect is on point. All the time is easy. Everybody knows their position. Everything's good. Well, then the last 3 years of my sentence, they're like, oh, well, check it out. You've been medium custody this whole time. So we're going to shoot you to the medium yard. And bro, imagine being me after 7 years. And here's the other dynamic that is insane. State of
Mm.
Alaska is the only system I'm aware of in the United States where at this prison they mix sentenced and unsentenced prisoners. Dudes that got arrested 3 days ago are coming in the mod, and you're on your ninth year of your sentence. And these dudes
Oh.
are staggering in, puking on themselves, detoxing. They got the sack in their butthole, all that type of stuff. It was absolutely insane. And sex offenders everywhere. So it was
Mm.
like the greatest test of my constitution when I touched down on that medium yard. And the way that I
Mm.
handled it is I would tell these dudes, don't fucking look at me. Don't make eye contact with me. You look at the floor when you walk past me, man. And then I'm not going to speak to you. That's how we're going to do this. Because a lot of them knew who I was. And they would try
Yeah.
to come. It was the weirdest shit. They would try to come up to me and be like, oh, hey, bro. Well, my cat walked across the keyboard and that's how all that child porn got on there, bro. It really wasn't me. I'd tell them, stop. Don't tell me anything, bro. Just put your eyes down and keep it pushing. I don't want to hear anything out your mouth. Nothing. So
My
it was a
cat walked
really
across the keyboard.
crazy test. The last 2 years was the most difficult time I did of all, which is really nuts to say, but it was. That medium yard, man, was insane.
So you escape at 15 with the hottie from the grocery store.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we condensed chapter one. You like how we did
That's
that?
right. Yeah, that's right.
So do you go live with her and her family? Do you go and
Yeah.
get your place together? Do you go get a job?
Yeah.
Where does Jason
Yeah.
go from 15 to 18?
Yeah. So the interesting thing was we went and stayed in her grandparents' barn behind their property out here in Palmer. And
Okay.
then my brother was in Spokane, Washington, and he was like, "Hey, bro, fly down here. You can get a job and all type of stuff." So I flew to Spokane. Actually, I flew to Seattle and bought a motorcycle for $500. I'll never forget riding that motorcycle for 6 hours with no helmets in Washington State. And I didn't even know how to ride a motorcycle. And when I went to buy it, I told the guy, "Oh, yeah, I know how to ride." I didn't know how to ride at all. And we ended up living in a shitty apartment above a bar. And I'll tell you the crazy part was, bro, my parents, I'll never forget the night that I ran away. I came back the next day to get my stuff, and they had put my clothes in trash bags on the front porch, but they specifically kept all my identifying papers and birth certificate and everything. And my mother was yelling out the window, "I am not going to help you in your flight to the devil," or whatever. So
Mm.
I didn't understand this. I was at a young age, and I ended up in the lower 48 with no ID. So I worked 2 weeks for a company, and I remember the dude holding the paycheck and telling me, "Look, man, I got your paycheck right here, but I cannot legally give it to you until you get me picture ID." And I didn't know at that time how to get a birth certificate and all that type of stuff. I was 15, man. I've never done any of that before. So we were starving. We were literally starving. And I was scared to go to any public agency because I thought they would report me
Yeah.
as a runaway, arrest me, and send me back to these people. So I'll never forget one day I'm riding my motorcycle in the city and I'm thinking to myself, man, we got to eat. Where is a place where people leave money and go somewhere else? And it was like a terrible light bulb came on in my mind because I looked over and I saw a health club. And I was like, "Oh shit, the locker's at the health club." And I pulled into the parking lot and I walked up to the front desk and I was like, "Hey man, can I check out your gym for the day?" He's like, "Absolutely. Go ahead, man. Go in the locker room. Do your thing." And I walked in and I had nothing. And I just started opening lockers, bro. And I'm not even kidding you. It's like a curse got put on me that day because I opened a locker and there was a pair of jeans hanging there with a wallet in it. And I pulled the wallet out. And I kid you not, there was 10 $100 bills in that wallet. $1,000 in cash. And bro, I raced straight back to that apartment and I threw the money in the air and I thought we hit the biggest jackpot in the world. And I was like, "Woo, we're good, we're good." And from that moment on, that started me down this trajectory of being a thief because we were like, shit, we're down here in the lower 48. We can get on the I-90 and go an hour this way. We're in Idaho. Then we can hit Montana. Then we can hit Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And then we can hit this town, that town, the other town. Well, I'm just telling you right now, in my mind, I justified it because we started using credit cards going to stores. And back in the day, just so you guys know, if you're a smooth talker, you can just walk in and use any credit card. There's no ID, there's checkbooks, all type of stuff.
Hmm.
um, so in my mind, I was defrauding banks or credit card agencies. What was
Yeah.
really happening is I was terrorizing people's lives and they were coming out and their ID was gone. All of their shit was gone. Who knows? Personal pictures, family stuff. Like it's a terrible thing to be a thief. I'm telling you. And so again, there's a part of me that believes I will never resent the 10 piece that I went and served ever. Because part of me thinks that that's like atonement for the years of my
Mm.
life that I was a thief because I knew some way, somehow I had to give back. And granted, maybe it's an unorthodox fashion and maybe most people wouldn't understand. But I'll tell you this, if you come from a childhood sexual assault background, you get it.
Yeah. Golly, man. Man. And so many people that are sitting behind bars right now watching this are literally shaking their heads, crying in their hands because they're like, that was me. Maybe not on those particular freeways, but that was me. I was a runaway. I was an abuse victim. And one of the things that I know you and I connect on is that most of these I don't know, let's say most, a lot of these cats that we know behind bars, their crime doesn't fit their actual character. We are superficially sentencing people based on what we arrested them for, not the root of the cause.
Yep. Yep, it's true. And the thing I tell people, I use this metaphor, this analogy. I tell people, if you want to find gold, you've got to get down in the dirty, muddy water to find it. A lot of times that's what prison is. And I'm telling you, there are people within our prison systems that are solid gold. Good people, bro. Good people. And the thing that I found in our system, it's probably the same in yours, wherever you're at. In the state of Alaska system, I started petitioning them to get complex PTSD treatment, childhood trauma treatment, PTSD therapy, any sort of therapy related to that. Denied, 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 denied. They would say, all of your mental health therapy is provided by the DOC. However, at this time, we are not providing that, nor are we allowing you to provide it for yourself. I offered to pay for it. I offered to have the therapist come in during visitation. I offered to pay for the Skype. I offered to pay for the phone calls, all of that stuff. Matter of fact, in the end, there was a really cool podcaster that paid $1,300 a month for 6 months worth of therapy for me every Friday for an hour. And I'm telling you now, that therapist, every Friday, she would email a new Google phone number to my sister because the security at the prison would block it every single week. And the thing that is absolutely insane is probably 85% of the dudes I did time with, whether they were a drug addict, assaultive, a robber, a dope dealer, whatever it was, 85% of them had childhood abuse or trauma. And matter of fact, one example, I remember sitting in the homeboy cell and we were watching whatever weekly show on FX. And if you're doing time, we watch all the FX shows. So it's on basic cable. We fuck with FX. But he tells me, yeah, bro, I was abused when I was young too. And he shows me his left arm. And there are parallel lines burned all the way up his arm from his wrist up to his bicep. And I'm like, bro, what is that? And he's like, oh, that's where my dad used to take the curling iron and burn my arm when I did something wrong. And he was hella casual about it. And he's like, yeah, there were probably first degree burns, second degree burns. I don't know. And he was in there for bank robbery. And the thing is, a lot of the guys that are doing time, they will never speak of it to anyone. But the thing that I noticed is that in my particular world, the child predators, they would go down the tier and take a 12 or 18-month program. Bow, you're out of prison. You're out in the community doing your thing. The guy that assaulted the child predators, I'm begging them for therapy or treatment or something. Denied, 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 denied. So I think it would be a really powerful thing if you're doing time in prison and you're one of these old heads and you're going to be in there for a while. You guys need to start pushing these people to address childhood trauma. It is literally the underlying issue for most of the aberrant behavior in your life. And a lot of times, the guy out there that is getting high or robbing banks or assaulting women or whatever hasn't even consciously realized where that behavior came from, man. And I'm telling you, it's powerful.
Man, literally, it's just a course in childhood trauma you just gave. It's so, man, it's so amazing. So we got some of these, in certain institutions, certain states, they gave us a green light. We take a camera crew behind bars and we interview men and women. And because I think it's powerful to tell the story. And to what you said, there's this gentleman that comes to my mind. It's the same. I don't want to say same because that just totally denigrates your story. It's a very similar story to yours where at the age of 12, his mom chooses the dope dealer over him.
Yeah.
And when his mom did that, he lived with it for a few months. And then him and his buddies came home and the dope dealer was beating up his mom. So him and his buddies took a few tire irons to the dope dealer. The mom picked the dope dealer over her son.
Yep.
And when he did that, Jay, he tells me this story and I can barely get it out without tears, is that he wanted to know who the dope dealer was affiliated with. He didn't even know that he was a gang member. But as soon as he found out what gang member he was a part of, he wanted to murder all of them. And here's the thing, Jay. He did.
Yep. Yep.
He did.
Understandably.
Right?
Understandably.
Understandably. It
Right.
and it's so interesting that you say that because I sit across from my wife, I sit across from people in church, I sit across as a dad of four, and I say the same thing, bro. Understandably, I can't put myself in that 12-year-old shoes without
Exactly.
crying because the reason he was such a good gangbanger, such a good murderer, is because of that pain as a 12-year-old boy.
Yep, that's exactly right. And the thing that you just touched on there that's really, really important that a lot of time gets passed over. Okay, in my experience, my natural mother marries this dude when I'm like 3 or 4 years old. This dude is a child molester. This dude literally is openly beating us with a 2x4 that he custom made. This thing is 2 feet long with a handle with holes drilled in it. She's aware of it. She hears it. She sees it. She does nothing. Eventually, when my brother runs away first, he's 3 years older than I am. He tells the cops. This dude gets convicted in court of child sexual abuse and child assault, right? My mother stays with this dude for the rest
Yep.
of his life till the day he dies. And a lot of times people don't understand women are just as complicit in child abuse as men who perpetrate it. Women perpetrate it as well. And the thing is, what that does to your mind when your own mother will serve you up to a dude who is abusing you, it literally tells you in your subconscious, okay, I'm worth nothing. And the thing is, you
Mm.
can't imagine the waterfall of effects that has on a person's life. Because guess what? Why should I brush my teeth? Why should I care about my credit? Why should I get a driver's license? Why should I give a fuck about the law or breaking the law? Because guess what? I'm worthless. And you don't even think that consciously. That is the trick. That is a seed that is planted in your subconscious. And then your behavior starts demonstrating that seed that's in there. And the thing that's really important for me to tell people it is you didn't put the seed in your mind. Someone else did. But it is your job to recognize it's there and understand and believe that it is not the case. That is your job. Um, and I don't even give myself the credit for discovering that and making it, and that I was important and that my message mattered. I never made it this far.
Bro, it's so powerful. Oh, we froze. You froze. Can you see me?
Yep. Yep. Are you
Oh, there you are. You're back.
there? I see you. You're back.
Okay, there we
Yeah,
are.
you're back.
Damn it, Alaska.
You're back. Yeah.
Bro,
I
so
know. Hey,
powerful.
we're about to have a volcano erupt too. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you're hustling, you're stealing, you've got the girlfriend, the whole nine. How do you get from I smoke a little bit of weed, Jason. I'm stealing $1,000 at LA Fitness. How do
Yeah.
how do we get to a 10 piece?
Well, so basically the progression of my life. Uh, Another thing too is another analogy I use is let's say you know a guy that gets busted for shoplifting 3 items from Walmart. Chances are he's been shoplifting for a while. He's probably done it 100 times.
Yes.
So similarly, I was arrested for assaulting 3 child predators. Well, I lived in a lot of states and I felt the same way for a long time,
Yeah.
which means if you're in a relationship with me, and again, rest in peace, I ended up getting married and I worked all over the country, but I'm quite certain it was a very difficult relationship being the person I was at that time. Because I mean, when your boy decides to go out at night because I got something to do, sometimes I would come back looking a little different and things like that. And that was very difficult for her. And she was raising my kids and things like that. But we ended up in Bend, Oregon. And interesting thing was I met old man Les Schwab, who started the Les Schwab tire chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he came out on his old ass wheelchair and things in his community, and he heard about it. And he basically gave me a blank check commercial painting business. He told me, paint my Learjet hangars, paint all the buildings on my ranch, paint all my tire stores. And he said, don't bid anything, just send me a bill once a week, do your thing. And that guy bought me a brand new home in Bend, Oregon. He bought me a brand new motorcycle. He furnished it. It was a gorgeous place. Well, I ended up running up against this organization and they were trafficking girls. And just like I do, I went there and I'm not going to tell the whole story here, but long story short, these guys were dealing with a biker club in Central Oregon. And basically, they told me, hey, man, thanks a lot for your service and all that. But check it out, man. You got to get the fuck out of town because you're fucking up our business. And so I sold my home in Bend, Oregon. And I thought to myself, if there's anywhere I can go back to where everything's good, it's Alaska. And so I flew back up here to Alaska. And bro, I hadn't been here in like 12 or 14 years, 10 years, 12 years. And as soon as I touch down and I sort of get in touch with the community, these people are telling me, hey, man, this guy's pimping out girls at his house. This dude is selling dope to 13-year-old girl. I just start hearing it left, right, left, right. And it just triggered something in my heart. I was like, you know what? This is my fucking state. I was born here. And guess what we're not going to do? We're not going to let people traffic little kids when I'm in back home. We're not doing that. Um, and it just, a seed that was planted in me when I was very, very young sprouted. And
Mm.
so I got a couple of names from the community. I vetted them online. And I started going and seeing them face to face, man. And the thing is, another thing is out there on the internet, I get a lot of comments all the time. Yeah, well, you murdered people and this, that, and the other. I didn't murder anybody. I definitely beat the brakes off of quite a few of them, but I didn't murder anybody. One guy got hammered, but he didn't die. So it was an interesting thing too, standing in the courtroom with the dude I hammered, and he's got a colostomy bag and a TBI. And this is a dude that was convicted of molesting a 10-month-old baby. And
Oh,
he was the youth music leader for the church he was associated with, which should have never happened. And he had minors in his home twice a week alone with him. That's how I got his name. And interestingly, I'll never forget standing in the courtroom with this dude next to me, stuttering, telling the judge, I got to check the locks on my doors and I'm scared and everything else. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, yeah, motherfucker, that's exactly how we feel. You're exactly right. Because I used to lock my bedroom door and dread it when this dude got off work at night because I could hear him, unlock your door, unlock your door. And honestly, it was extremely cathartic and healing for me in a really strange way because I was like, yeah, I bet you get it now. I bet you get it now. And you know, interesting fact about that guy, he begged the judge not to let me out of prison until he died because he was scared to death. Well, you got to be careful what you wish for sometimes because 2 years later, boom, he died.
oh, there you go. Tell me there's not a higher power involved.
There absolutely is. And that's another thing, too. Now that you mentioned that, I want you to know all the gangster stuff and all the thuggish stuff put to the side. I will tell you this I am above all things a spiritualist for sure.
Same.
And I will tell you this I was led in a spiritual sense every single time. And I cannot describe to you, like I will shed a tear. I cannot describe to you how powerful it is to be led to a place. And when the door opens, there is a guy and he's got a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and they're already drunk and they're already in their underwear on the bed. And you got there 2 minutes before something awful was going to happen. And bro, to have the opportunity and the privilege to show up 2 minutes before some kids' lives are wrecked and grab this dude by his shirt and jerk him out of his apartment. That's why I tell people all they say, thank you for your service or whatever. I tell them, no, 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 no. It was my privilege. Because when you get led to a place and the evidence is right in front of you, that guess what? Man, I'm listening and I was right. I knew I had to come here. Um, it's amazing. It's a privilege. It really is.
It's such a privilege. You nailed it on the head, bro. You literally nailed it. I love it. Did they tried to give you a little bit more than 10 years?
Oh, and they definitely did. Yeah, they definitely did. That another interesting thing too is that I'm a simple as genius sort of guy. And I don't recommend anyone else use my method, but I thought it would be smart if I wrote an offer to the prosecutor and sent it to the newspaper. And they published it front page. The
I've read
prosecutor hated, yeah, the prosecutor hated my audacity. They thought I was an arrogant prick. But
it.
I told them I will plead guilty to any combination of charges you wish, anything you want. I only have one caveat. That is, my sentence is to equal in length what each pedophile served in prison, and I will serve all their sentences back to back to back. That's my offer. I'll do all their time combined, which came to 6 years, 9 months, mind you. And
Yeah.
interestingly, the judge laughed, the prosecutor laughed that offer out of the courtroom. Ultimately, they gave me 23 years in prison. But I happened to get sentenced. Here's the crazy part. I happened to get sentenced 2 months before they changed the law where you're eligible for discretionary parole after a quarter of your time. And so on a 23-year sentence, after serving six and change, I was able to go before the discretionary parole board. And at that time, I had taken 41 classes. I was a level 2 certified substance abuse counselor, first responder, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I showed up with a petition with 30,000 signatures on it saying out. And so the parole board, I
Yeah.
had 10 years of a prison sentence left to serve. And so the parole board had us standing in the hallway for 2 hours arguing with each other. Half of them hated me, half of them said, let him out. And so in the end, they split the baby right in half and they said, all right, check it out. Discretionary parole granted in 5 years. And
Mm.
so, way that works out in the state of Alaska, when you get to 3 years left to serve, you qualify for the ankle monitor and you can go out in the community and serve your last 3 years on ankle monitor. So, really, in reality, my original release date is 2033. My new release date is 2028. That's when the ankle monitor comes off and I just go on regular parole.
Wow. Man, oh man, oh man. What on a daily basis, on a daily basis, how do you take this? How do you take this fire in your belly, this passion, this like where do you go? I mean, obviously I know what you're doing and I know what you're saying online, but like to me, you're you're as crazy as I am. I tell people all the time, I'm just dumb enough to think I can change the world. Like,
It's exactly right. That's
and I
exactly
feel
right.
that from you. Like, I feel
Yeah.
that vibe from you to where you're like,
Yeah.
you're not satisfied. You don't give a shit about the internet. Like, you
Yeah.
really actually want to save somebody somewhere somehow. That's what I get from
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Well, and the thing, the genesis of that was when I was a little kid, if
Mhm.
any one time some tattooed badass would have kicked the front door in and beat the brakes off the dude that had beating me for years, I would have said, yeah, woo, holy shit, there is a God, it is
Superhero.
real. It would have changed my life. It would have
Yeah.
changed my life. And the bottom line is, I had the privilege to be that for a number of kids, a number of them. And bro, I cannot tell you it's worth it. I don't care if they gave me the rest of my life, it was worth it. Because another
Yeah.
thing people don't understand is standing there that day getting sentenced. Honestly, it's the sentence settled on me like a fog and a weight. But at the same time, I chuckled inside and I thought to myself, this judge doesn't even get it, man. I got my life
Mm-mm.
sentence when I was 6 years old. He doesn't
Yeah.
understand. I already got a life sentence. Somebody already took away the life I could have had. He doesn't even understand. And so the thing that's really, really powerful is when some other thing comes and removes from you what you should have when you're young, there is actually power in that because it gives you a completely blank slate and you have the opportunity to build whatever you want. And you've got to understand that. And another thing, too, is trauma, once it's healed, becomes a superpower. So
Yeah.
I have sometimes you guys will see me do hits, maybe not in the penitentiary, but out here, you'll see me do hits about kids that are abused. And man, there's tears coming out of my eyes and I'm hella
Mhm.
emotional. That's because one of my powers is empathy. I can feel the pain of that child. Um, I'm telling you, trauma healed is a superpower. And so now the other thing that's really important to understand is like, look, if you're a dope dealer and you're a badass entrepreneur and that's how you caught your Fed time or your prison time, then life is about progressing your skill set. Then apply that skill set to something that's legal. If you're in the dope game, check it out. That shit's basic. Everybody's been doing it forever. Show me something brand new, man. Come out here, find a hole in the marketplace, produce a product or a service or a voice that's new and innovative and edgy that people like, and do it legal. Now I'm impressed. Now I'm impressed. And so now the progression in my life is I started out pretty ground level, going door to door, bashing out monsters is pretty basic. It's not that advanced. So now I have the opportunity with the help of a bunch of people to have the platform. And now I give voice to kids that are in trouble or cases that need to have visibility, things like that. And bro, it's a blessing. It's a super blessing.
Such a blessing, bro. You ever thought about teaming up with like a Tim Ballard type organization or
Yeah, and I will. And I will. But the other part too is like every story needs a happy ending or at least
mm,
a successful ending. And I'm
yeah.
literally in the midst of building that right now. I'm building it. And I promise you, I am on the grind. I probably work 70 to 90 hours per week because interestingly, even though Google pays me a lot more money than my day job, the DOC in Alaska has never had an inmate be an internet creator or an influencer or whatever you want to call it. So they don't even acknowledge that money or that as a job.
I'm
So they
sure.
told me, yeah, we hear you, but check this out. We want to see you sweeping a floor, doing some dishes, or doing some construction. That's a job to us. So I also work 40 hours a week doing construction. And then on top of that, I typically do 30 to 40 hours a week with the social media stuff. Um, and the thing that's amazing is like where I sit now, I probably have three or 400,000 people across the platforms that are on my platforms. And that's pretty quick growth for 4 to 6
Yeah.
weeks free time. Actually, 8 weeks, 10 weeks out of prison, you know?
It's incredible, bro. It's incredible is what it is. It's one of the best comeback stories ever. And I'm so excited to see where you get to go with it. Like, and you know what's fun about this? So I've done this since 2013, going back inside and telling stories and using my platform. When I was inside, I didn't go through an ounce of the trauma that you went through, and so I don't try to take that from anybody. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to turn this mess into a message, and I kept telling that to my wife, like I'm gonna manifest this life 2.0. And now we have these four beautiful little ones, and each kid is just a unique human, right? Even though they all
Yep.
came from us. We've got this one girl. She's our oldest girl. She's 9 years old, Kennedy. She's just such an incredible little badass. It's unbelievable. And she is so excited to write stories about the inmates, to write stories about, and the way that she views it in her own 9-year-old mind about how did this. And so as we're traveling yesterday and, you and I connected and today, and you want to know what her question was? This is a true story from a 9-year-old girl, bro,
Oh,
who has all 9 of her years have only been her dad in some prison capacity,
yeah.
right? These are the stories she sat across from. She's seen people, she's seen it, she's lived it. And she says to me, I want to know if when he broke in, he used a regular hammer.
You better watch out. Kennedy's gonna be a thug. You better watch out, bro.
Bro, like
You better watch
it
out.
brings so much joy to me because it's
Yeah,
like I really, and this, being going back to 9-year-old Jason, like to have that amount of freedom in her life, to know that she's so safe to be able to say these comments, like,
it's beautiful.
bro,
Yeah,
it's a blessing. You're doing, and I don't want to force this concept upon you. I think you're doing God's work out here.
yeah, it's
Like,
beautiful. Well, and honestly, I agree. And the thing I will tell you is another thing is a lot of us were raised on the Bible. I was too. I was in church. These people were missionaries. And I'll tell you this: it's an interesting thing if you know your Bible. Moses saw a Philistine picking on a Jew, and he went over there and killed him. And as soon as he did that, God said, "Ooh, you're my guy, bro. I'm going to put you on game." That was badass. That was righteous. And the thing is, what's interesting is you live in a country that is founded on the Bible, and yet people forget some of the powerful figures within that philosophy and within that religion. These were guys that went out and handled the business. And that is how they became one of God's chosen people. Literally, it wasn't until they went and handled the business. And we all hear all these stories, and you don't think about somebody going, he slayed the giant. Yeah, he killed somebody. He's a murderer. He killed somebody. He
correct.
went out there and killed somebody straight up. And then guess what? God put him on game. And the thing is that is real life fact. And I'm telling you now, there is no way I could have ended up the places I ended if God's hand was not involved in it. And then the other thing too that's really important for people to understand is a lot of people really casually say, well, everything happens for a reason, bro. Everything
Mm,
happens for a reason. And I'm telling you now, you must establish the reason when things happen. You also must participate and you also must contribute. You have to, because there were many nights, bro, I'm telling you, many nights where I did not want to get off my ass in my cushy home where I had Tiffany light fixtures and lovely furniture and a big giant TV in my bedroom and everything else and walk out the door and go to some grimy fourplex and pull the door open and pull out a pedophile. I didn't want to do it, bro. But guess what? I felt the pull so strongly that I was like, yep, I will go. I will do it. And what I really hope, and all of that I'm saying with complete humility, and what I hope,
Yeah.
bro, is that instead of being on that ground floor level of doing that stuff, now I have the opportunity to like reach out and uplift a kid that needs it or show somebody that's a survivor. And again, to me, that's just a super privilege, bro. It's a super privilege.
To elevate it, bro, to elevate it. Rising tides, they lift all boats, right? And so you
True.
surround yourself, you know, like you become that ship in the harbor that everybody leans toward, looks towards. Like, oh, well, if Jason's here, then we're going to be okay. Like you become that guy that says this is a safe place to be. And then as you rise, so does everybody else around you. That's what
Yeah.
you're putting on here, bro. Like,
Yeah. And you know, I want to comment on that too, because I remember a couple of years before I got out, I became friends with JD Delay. And to you guys that are in there, this is a massive YouTuber. The dude has millions of followers, and he reached out to me, and he and I started chopping it up twice a week. He literally is a brother to me. And the thing I'll tell you is a couple of weeks before I got out, he's like, bro, I'm going to set up your YouTube channel for you and get it ready. What do you want to call it? And I'm like, bro, I'm not doing the Alaskan Avenger thing. That's hella corny. I'm a simple guy. I'm not a superhero. I'm a regular dude. And he's like, listen, you have to call it that, bro. That's what everybody knows you as. You have to. Well, the interesting thing is, I was super resistant to that until I got out and I started interacting with all of these CSA survivors. And what I realized in that moment was this massive community of people that were abused as kids. They wanted an archetype that represented protection and winning against these people. And using that name, it gives them that archetype. There is somebody out there that is our image of protection, which none of us had when we were kids. And so it wasn't until I started receiving an ocean of messages from people telling me, hey, I just imagine you when I can't sleep at night. I imagine you coming into the room and beating up my dad. And guess what? I go to sleep. And that's when I embraced it. And I said, okay, bro, run that. We're going to run that. That's literally the trigger. So um, it's
wow.
a really important thing. And because when I was a kid, there was nobody I could think of that was going to come and protect me from the guy. I had nobody
Hmm.
to imagine. So
Hmm.
that's kind of the how that's the only reason why I embraced it. Because trust and believe,
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a superhero, bro. I got to get up at 4 in the morning and bust my ass every single day. Believe that.
It's so true, right? No, it
Yeah.
is. But I love that you can be that superhero to that one. Like the first image that comes in my mind is like you know how when these kids go through trauma and first responders show up, they usually have like a thing, whether it's a bear or something that they can latch onto because they've just gone through something traumatic. Like that globally needs to be something you put in place. Like
100%.
just
100%. And
man.
that, yeah. And the thing that's crazy is, um, all over the world, bro. I get
Yes.
messages from everywhere, UK, Australia, every country on the planet. There's people that have reached out, and why some stories travel and others don't, I cannot tell you. But I'll also tell you this: the single largest body of humanity on the face of this earth are the survivors of childhood sexual abuse.
Mm.
And together we are bigger than any government, any army, any system of control, any country worldwide. We are the single largest body of humanity on the face of this earth. And the issue is the primary symptom of child abuse is isolationism. So we don't tell people that we're part of that family. And the thing is, one of my big things is speak on it because you're family to me. If you're a survivor, you're family to me. If you're progressing your life and you're positive, you're family to me. And so the thing is, once everybody gets out of their isolationism and comes together, then guess what? We don't have to complain about these fucked up sentences. We can just vote people out of office. We're bigger than them. There's more of us than there are of them. People just hide. So that's why I try to get out there and just be honest with it, and especially men. A lot of men don't want to talk about the fact that they were molested or abused. They're ashamed of it for
No.
some reason. And the thing is, it's not your fault, man. Some creep came in and touched your pee-pee. Check it out. It's not your fault, man. And it changed your life. And as soon as you speak on it, you can start healing. And that's what you got to do.
Yeah, and then it becomes a superpower like you talked about.
Right. That's
Man,
exactly
it's
right.
beautiful. This is so next level. I'm so grateful for the conversation, bro. I feel like I could do this
100%.
forever, but you got to be up at
100%.
4 a.m.
Yeah, I
Um,
got to go. I got to go.
um, as we sign off here, I'm going to give it to you, and where my head goes to, so you know where I'm at, is this is going to be in hundreds of juvenile institutions,
Beautiful.
um, hundreds of juvenile
Beautiful.
institutions. And so
Beautiful.
maybe men like you and I are not the conversation for this last final bit that you're going to give out. Maybe it's the youngsters out there that
Yeah.
are looking for an Avenger superhero, bro.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you this. This is going to sound crazy, but I'm going to give you two pieces of advice if you're young that matters. And these will carry you a very, very long way. And again, let me remind you, simple is genius. I'm going to tell you one thing right now. Brush your teeth and take care of your mouth, because if you have great teeth and you walk in for an interview, a car loan, meeting people, they look at your teeth. Make sure you have clean, nice teeth. I'm telling you, it's really important. Number two, if you have this one rule in your life, it will carry you the rest of your life, and that is don't break the law. That's it. Just don't break the law. And if you're doing something that's breaking the law, stop. And guess what? If you have clean, beautiful teeth and you don't break the law, guess what? Your life's going to be great. I'm telling you, those two things, they are so simple and so powerful. And nobody ever told me either one. And I went out and bashed out both of them, and I wish I wouldn't have. So if you're young, this is a beautiful world. And the thing I want to tell you is you cannot imagine how long your life is and how many chapters it will have. The one you are in now, you might not even remember. So just remember that if you don't have hope, you have so many chapters ahead of you. You have no idea what's waiting for you. That's fucking amazing. So make it, make it.
I love it, bro. I appreciate you. We're going to spread the word. We're going to help where we can. God bless. Continue.
Awesome. Awesome. I appreciate you, brother. One light,
Likewise, bro.
everybody. We'll talk to you later.